How long do you usually go, Josh? Just so
20 minutes. Fifth, actually, it's about 17 minutes.
17 minutes. Go quick. I love it. Love it.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. With us right now, it's Jas Takhar. Jas, you are a real estate broker, you're a sales strategist, and you are the host of the Jas Takhar podcast. You're found on the web at jastakhar.ca. Jas, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me, Josh. I'm very, very excited to bring a lot of value to your viewers and listeners. So let's get started, brother.
Yes, give us an overview of your impact in the world.
Look, man, I've always been a sales guy at heart ever since I got started around 12. I kind of found my passion. I knew this is something that I wanted to do for a very, very long time. And I guess the fact that I didn't do really well in a school setting probably helped that cause, right? Like I liked school for the social aspect of it. I think class just kind of got in the way, and kind of fast forward now to the age of 40 that I am with the two organizations, a real estate company and a media company that I have. I'm really enjoying, to your question, I'm probably enjoying the most watching some of my leaders become and develop other leaders now. And so I have this big sign in my old studio that was kind of like the success table of elements, and the highest one that you can reach at is the element of LDL, where leaders develop leaders. And it's just so gratifying to watch this happen now.
Yeah. And so your website at jastakhar.com, I know you've got some resources there, including a vault. But in terms of like someone who's listening to our conversation right now and they're like, okay, I already like this guy already. I already know I want to connect with them. How do you work with just, folks that are out there, they're growing their business. Maybe they've been in business for quite some time. You mentioned a topic in and around sales. And I think that there's I see a lot of confusion around that, right? Is a business owner, a consultant, an agency owner, for example, what does it mean today, say in the year 2022, to be, to be masterful at the sales process? Does it mean we got to be really good at memorizing Tom Hopkins closing techniques and objection handling?
No, so and I love the references to the old guard, and no disrespect to any of them, but I just think it was a different time, right?
There was a time for that, yes.
I think there was a time for that. It's just now in 2022, and as we head into 2023, I think it's all about how much value can you bring up front to a prospect, give them the education so they can make an informed quality decision themselves. And this is very easy for anyone to understand. Think about yourself walking into a shoe store. Think of yourself walking into a car dealership, and once the salesman or the sales lady asks you, can I help you? Right away, you're triggered to say no, because humans, we like the path of least resistance, right? And so if you as a salesperson, if you know that already, why not just do the exact opposite? Meaning, don't be pushy and don't try to use a bunch of these closing techniques and handling objections like a consumer's like if they're a hockey puck. You know what I mean? That's not what it's about, in my opinion. It's about give away all your best education. So for me, I'm in real estate. I teach people for free how to buy, how to sell, how to invest on their own. And I tell my prospects, I tell my clients, let me peel back the curtains and why I do that. Because I know in Canada, like in our nation, only about 2% of people will ever sell or even try to sell their own home. So I'm not focusing all my efforts and time and resources on that 2%. I'm looking at the 98% that will use the service of a realtor. I just want to try to be top of mind. I want to be the guy that is the trusted authority. And in my opinion, the only way to do that is if you give away all your best information. And because no one's going to want to try to fix their own car. So if you're a mechanic, you might as well just teach people how to do it, because then they'll think of you when they actually need to change that spark plug.
Yeah. So let's say, Steve, that, it says Steve on your screen, Jas, that let's say someone says, they come to you and they say, listen, we're an SEO agency or we do web design or something like that. Like I'm not good at sales. Like I feel uncomfortable, maybe asking for business or doing the things I think I'm supposed to do. Like, I know you already shared a bit of a blueprint there. But if someone says, I feel like, however, that of the conversations I'm having, they don't seem to be productive in the way that they're leading to business. So there must be something that I'm doing wrong.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things there. Number one, I'm a big believer in actually working on your strengths and then hiring out for your weaknesses. And so, if you're an agency owner, you're a web designer, and you haven't been able to actually get people to buy your product or service, the fact that your product or service might just suck. I mean, we need to obviously look into that. You got to look underneath the hood and see what's there. But I would probably recommend just hire a salesperson, have them actually sell for you. You don't have to do it on your own. Think outside the box. I have a lot of people who love real estate, but they suck at sales. Why? Because they don't even want to get out. They don't want to do a video. They don't actually want to meet with people, but they like the architecture of a building. They like maybe putting a deal together for a piece of land. But if they're not, like I tell them all the time, you're not comfortable in a sales setting, that's okay. That's okay. Just hire around it. And the nice thing with salespeople is that you can generally hire them on performance. You don't need to pay them a salary up front. So the excuse of not having the money to pay them is out the window, because they'll only get paid when they do a deal. So if you're a web designer, you only pay that salesman or that saleswoman when they actually close a deal.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I've heard of that, and I've also heard people saying, I can't find these guys. Everyone wants a salary.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think that's just people stopping and putting their putting obstacles in front of them by themselves. Like they're just in their head. They're in their own head. There's tons of people that if you just, and there's probably a reason why you're not good in sales, is because you don't understand that you need to hear 67 no's to get to the 68th yes, right? And so you have to just keep on looking. There is tons, as I mentioned, tons of people that are more than willing to actually work in the sales industry. You just got to keep asking.
All right. Do we just ask on social, or where do we go to start saying, who wants to work commission only sales for me?
Yeah, look, I mean,
because part of me, Jace, I don't know if you can hear a little bit of skepticism in my voice, just because I've seen that go badly, and years ago. Here comes a big lightning. You probably can't hear it. Anyway,
I could hear that.
Here we go, man. Central Florida in the summer. Every afternoon we have like our 30-minute downpour and lightning strikes everywhere. Okay, so again, is it, do we check on Upwork, or is you kind of, I feel like you're kind of get what you pay for. So again, that's just where my skepticism comes from.
100%. I totally understand, Josh, but here's what I would start. I would start within your own network. Open up your phone and send a text message. If you're brave enough, pick up the phone and actually dial the numbers of people in your phone. Start there. You have an email list, send out an email. And you're essentially asking everyone in your own community, in your own network, people that you have their phone numbers and you have their names and emails, and saying, hey, look, not wondering if you're necessarily thinking about maybe getting into the sales industry and helping me in my business, but do you know somebody that might know somebody? See, you don't need to know 400,000 people. In fact, if you just know 200, the average person knows another 200 people. So if you know 200 people that know 200 people that know 200 people, your network now is 40,000. There's a very strong possibility out of that 40,000 person network that one person is going to want to work in sales. Now, if that doesn't work, let's take it to the next level. What I would do is go on to your socials. Yeah, that's a great place to start. Go on LinkedIn, write a caption. Go on Instagram, go on TikTok, go on Facebook, and just make a 15-second video. Hey, I'm in the web design business. I'm looking to see if there's any sales professionals that want to work for me. If so, just DM me. As easy as that. You don't need a script. You don't need to get it all post-produced and hire a cinematographer and all that garbage. All you got to do is go into selfie mode, less than 15 seconds, put it out to the world, and maybe end it off with, even if you're not looking, do you know anybody that knows anybody that knows anybody? Like get someone's brain to think of somebody else that they might know. And then just have some patience. It might not have happened on, if you did it on a Tuesday, it might not happen on a Wednesday. Just sit tight, because the universe, and I'm not trying to get all philosophical on people here, but the universe will do its thing. It just takes some time. So when Laura or Yas or Parsa they see that video 2 days later, they're at a cocktail party and someone says, oh man, I'm hating the business that I'm in, or I'm hating the job that I'm in. I wish there was something else I can get into. That's when that person, if Laura saw the video, she can say, oh my God, I saw Josh, he put out this video on my socials. He's looking for a salesperson.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I will say that the market, and I want to kind of flip it a little bit, because let's say that there's someone who's listening to our conversation right now, and maybe you're suffering a little bit, say like you're good at working with people. You know, the general principles of managing relationships, which again, I think is far more important today, and do you have a generous heart? But and you love people and you want to keep showing up and you want to create change and impact and you want to help other people, that to me, those are really good traits for an excellent salesperson today. So I do want to kind of put that out there that, hey, if you're open to that, I can vouch for that. There is a lot of opportunity. So we kind of help out at kind of the high ticket lead gen side of things. And there is limitless amounts of work to do, because I think, to your point, Jason, I think a lot of people get into business because they love what they do. Like, I found that I'm really good at design. And, if you're a business owner and you're exceptional, you're one of the best in the world at that, man, do what you get paid most for. But that doesn't get you off the hook. If you're the founder or the CEO, you're still a la E-Myth, right? You are still responsible ultimately for the growth of your company. It doesn't mean you have to do all of the pieces, but man, you got to get that going.
Well, I think one of the best books, and you mentioned it as you were talking about, as you were mentioning what you were talking about right now, is I automatically went to Michael Gerber myself. I thought of the E-Myth and I'm like, oh, wow. I mean, that's exactly what that whole book is about. In fact, I think there needs to be a bigger push for intrapreneurs more than entrepreneurs right now. And we're obviously in the world and the time of entrepreneurship. It's the buzzword. It's what everybody dreams of. And I get all that kind of stuff. But I think we need to look at the space of intrapreneurship even more, because there is some people that are amazing number 2s, 3s, 4s, and 52s, not just the number 1s out there. And everybody wants to be the Mark Zuckerbergs, the Gary V's, and everybody wants to be the number 1, but let's not forget that the number 2s and the number 14s in those organizations, they also make a lot of money. And they're actually very, very happy, because it's not all on them at the end of the night. Look, the biggest difference between an entrepreneur and an intrapreneur is there's a lot of similarities. In my eyes, the only really difference is that the entrepreneur puts the money up. Right? Most entrepreneurs don't need to worry about the money, actually putting up the money, but they're bought in the same way. They have the same love. They have the same passion. They have a massive skill set. They are good at managing people. And so I personally am trying to now make a bigger push for people to be self-aware, because being the number 1, it actually sucks. Majority of the time. Like, it's actually not as glamorous as it's made out on TikTok and Instagram. Like, that's just not, not like, and because you got to do the same shit over and over and over again, which not everybody wants to do, right? And so, look, I mean, if you're watching and you're listening right now and you have a passion for cooking, but you don't have the stomach to take a market hit like we might be going through right now, you might be better off partnering up with somebody, maybe working at a bakery shop, right? Or at a restaurant, and becoming the number 2 in that business.
Man, and I can just tell you that the people that are putting up the money, the people that are putting up the risk, they might be the rainmaker. They might be, the visionary or whatever, and they're not really good. Like me, I'm not really good at execution and operation. Like, I shouldn't say that for all things, right? But for the details and managing all the minutia, no, that's not my job. I have wonderful entrepreneurs within our organization that are amazing at that. And you know what? It is a great relationship because they look at what I do and they go, I would never want to do that. I look at what they do and I go, I would never want to do that. Look for those opportunities and I like this, right? Don't let your ego get in the way because you want to be the big dog. And you're absolutely right. On social media, you're seeing the 1% of the 1%, and you're seeing the stuff that you're seeing the highlight reel of the stuff that they want to show you, as opposed to a lot of the crap and risk and tears and fights that they might be having at home because of, what it takes to succeed in business.
I mean, look, there's so many people who are looking to be the next Elon Musk and the next Jeff Bezos, and these guys are not even those two that I just mentioned. They're not in the top 1%. They're like in the top 0.1%, right? And so when you're looking at guys like that, I mean, if you can even do a quarter of what they've done, I think you're going to become very successful. And I think you're also going to be very, very happy, right? To what you said in terms of looking for the opportunity, I think before someone can look for the opportunity is actually looking at themselves in the mirror first and asking, why do they want to do this? Why do they want to get into the world of entrepreneurship? Is it for the accolades? Is it just for the money? And neither one of those are wrong answers. I'm not here to judge anyone. However, you need to understand that when you get into the world of entrepreneurship, sometimes the accolades and the money don't come for a very, 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 very long time, if ever. And so you better enjoy the journey and enjoy the process. You better actually like getting punched in the stomach because you know that it's part of the journey and part of the process. Because if you don't, I just think you have something else coming your way, because I've been at the real estate game for 17 years. I'm very grateful and very blessed to be at the top of the game in Toronto, in the greater Toronto area. But man, it took me 10 years before I even looked at myself and said, okay, I think I got something figured out here. Like it took a decade before I even had the kahunas to say that I got something going on here. And it really wasn't till the last 3 years until I started to focus in on personal brand and doing a lot of content, really put myself out there even more. So that's when I really started to see some success. And so, look, I always say, man, it's taken 17 years, Josh, to be an overnight success.
Yeah. That's exactly it. Jas, your website, jastakhar.ca, and that's, let me spell it, JASTAKHAR.ca. Jas, when somebody goes there, what would you recommend they click on? What should they do?
Well, look, I think they should actually just take a look at some of the content that I put out there on video, audio, the written word, and a lot of quote overlays and graphics and stuff like that. See, and get a sense of me. Come into my world. And if you like what you see, like what you hear, like what you read, then you can do more of a deep dive. I have a vault there for business owners and salespeople. It's absolutely free. It's some of my best resources. I got content guides, how I do 10 to 15 pieces of content a day from a 30 to 45-minute conversation. I got resources on how I manage my team. I got resources on how you can actually go and get more business, even if you're just starting out, and they're all absolutely free. The truth is, Josh, I actually got nothing to sell anybody right now. Like I don't have a course. I don't have a book. I don't have anything. Unless you're thinking about investing into Toronto real estate, I could help. And there's a service there. But other than that, man, I'm just going around talking to people, giving them, and really hoping that I drop a gem here and there that they actually execute on.
Jas Takhar, thank you so much for joining us. Again, your website, jastakhar.ca. Jas, I really appreciate our conversation.
Thanks for having me, Josh. Really appreciate it, brother.